Thanks once again for joining us for your update from the city of New Hope. Happy to be joined again by the mayor, Kathi Hemken. Welcome, Mayor. How are you doing today?
Hi, Dave. It's so nice out. It's just gorgeous out there today.
I think we finally hit spring, so it is very nice, and we've got a lot of spring-like activities coming up to talk about, so stick with us for those. We're going to begin with some construction work that everyone is familiar with by now, Mayor, and that is 169 and 42nd. Can you bring us up to date on how that is moving along?
I can't. They tell me that about the end of October, it'll reopen. However, they said they had some, I have to read this so I get this correct. They had some contaminated soil. So the contractor has to put well points to draw down the water elevations for the bridge foundations. Don't know what that means exactly, other than I thought it was going to delay the project. So I checked with them and they said, no, this would not delay the project.
That's
But
good
it's
news for
just
people to hear.
if you hear some pounding going on, that's what it is.
Got it. All right, let's move ahead to community development. Update you on a few properties around the city. One is just up to the north on 169. Tell us about a property that's in more of an industrial area and what's happening there.
Well, District 281, which is our school district, leased that property up there at 5440 Highway 169. They leased that for storage that they needed. Well, then they decided they wanted a tax exempt status on that, but you only get a tax exempt status if you have classes. So they decided to put a couple classes in there on career and technology education. Well, in an industrial district, you're not allowed to have any classes for the K through 12. So it's not an allowable activity. They can use it for storage, but they cannot use it for classes. And that probably won't be able to get their tax exempt status for a storage building.
All right, more to come on that. Let's now go to scattered site housing, update residents on some properties around the city. We've been talking about 3611 Louisiana for some time, and it looks like great progress has been made.
It is. The house is gone. You know, that was the one where they went in and they took out all the valuable stuff they could, like the windows and the doors and cabinets that were good. So they took out that. The house is gone, and now they're removing the trees. And to do that, they had to get permission to remove the fence on both sides of the property so they could take the trees down and grind out the stumps without ruining the fence. So that it'll be our responsibility to put those fences back up when we're done with that. So now the next thing is we'll go and send that a request for bids from builders. So we'll get those builders back. We'll probably vote on that on the 26th of June. That's how long it takes to get back. And after that happens, you'll see some action happening on that.
All right, very good. And action happening over on the corner of Boone and 42nd. Tell us about those two lots there and some of the work going on with utilities.
Well, they scoped out the south lot. He's got little pegs in there where it's going to go. And when I talked to you last week, I indicated that XL was going to move the poles. Well, this is the advantage of everybody talking to each other. Turns out that where they were going to move the pole to was the middle of the driveway for where the house was going. So now they're back on the drawing board to figure out where they can put that pole so it won't be in the middle of the driveway. It won't halt the construction at all of the house, but we just need to know so we don't have to move it twice.
Let's hop up to 53rd and Rhode Island, a property there that the city has been working with. What is the latest there?
Well, there's a sale pending on that. That should be really exciting because that one's been a little while. They're planning to close on the 2nd of June. Don't see any reason why they can't. So we'll have a new homeowner there after the 2nd of June.
And last stop is up at 5802 Boone, a property we've been talking about for quite some time. And again, some progress taking place.
It will. So the demolition bids have gone out on that property. We haven't gotten them back yet. We'll see those probably for the 26th of June also and vote on that. But the one little update from that, they were going to run power across Boone Avenue. So they'd have power at the house for the demolition. And they decided instead they're going to run it from Bass Lake Road. It makes more sense. They don't have to run it across a busy road then. So stuff is happening, and pretty soon you'll see that house gone.
All right. Community development also works with the business networking group. They are a busy group of business owners and people interested in business throughout the area. Give us a little preview of some of their upcoming events.
So it's now the New Hope Crystal Business Networking Group because we've incorporated the two groups, which really makes a lot of sense to me. So the next meeting will be June 7th at 8:30 in the morning, and it'll be at New Hope City Hall, and we're going to have somebody from the Chamber of Commerce come in and talk. So again, if you're interested in the chamber, it's open to everybody. You don't have to have a business to be there. If you do come, bring business cards because there's a lot of sharing of information that goes on at those meetings.
Yeah, great group of people. All right, to building permits and inspections, a couple properties to update residents on. The first is at 7801 62nd Avenue, and the West Metro Fire Department a little bit involved in this discussion as well.
Well, there's a little strip mall there on the corner of 62nd and Winnetka it'd be the southeast corner. One of the tenants decided to change it into a restaurant / nightclub. Well, that's not an acceptable use of that building. So not only did West Metro talk to the fire department, our community development guys are out there telling them they have to turn it back into what it was intended to be in the first place. And that's not what it was intended to be.
Okay, and last stop is up at the corner of Bass Lake Road and Winnetka, the former Shell gas station. What can you tell us about this property?
So we have ordinances and rules about a business just sitting there empty. So our community development department got in touch with the owner and said, which was Shell Oil, you must do something with that, either tear it down, remove the stuff, or open it up as a gas station. So they have contracted with a contractor, and he was there on property site with the people from Shell. So something is happening. It's not just going to sit there a whole lot longer, I hope.
All right, let's head to the police.
I don't know what they're going to do with it, though.
Right.
We haven't heard.
All right, we'll keep you up to date here as more information becomes available. Let's head to the police department and update residents on a few things. Police, as you know, very involved in community engagement, and I understand that engagement recently was grilling hot dogs and hamburgers.
Well, that's part of their community engagement. They go to places. They went to North Park Plaza, and this was their summer kickoff of the hamburger hot dog barbecues. So they'll be going to numerous places around the city. If you want them to come to you, if you're an apartment complex or you're just a neighborhood gathering, get in touch with them.
And here's that website, newhopemn.gov. You can find out that number there, as well as many of the other activities happening. And you might see some pictures of this next recent activity. Mayor, you had officers up on top of the donut shop. Tell us more.
Cops on the rooftop.
Yeah.
It was chilly up there, by the way. And so there was probably a dozen, and these are cops that aren't necessarily on duty at the time. So I said, how do you get up there? Well, apparently they had a ladder somewhere where they got up there. And what they'd do is lower down a bucket, you'd put in your check or your money. So as I'm standing there watching this, a lady pulls into the donut shop and said, here, I have $3, put it in the bucket for me. So they'll put the bucket down, they pull the bucket up. They had a fairly good turnout, and all that money goes to Special Olympics. It's really fun for them.
Yeah, great cause. Let's head to Public Works, update on a few things. And the first note is it's Public Works Week, and these people deserve a lot of recognition.
It is. If you see them outside and they're doing something, or just driving by, wave to them, go out and tell them thank you. These guys really are doing a lot of stuff. They're our city's handyman, if you will. And so they're out there doing all kinds of stuff. Well, they're checking the fire hydrant flow. That means they open up the valve and the water gushes out into the street. And as I told you last week, I wondered why they didn't just put it on somebody's lawn. And they said the pressure is so high, it just wipe out their whole lawn. So that's where it's going. It's going down the drain, and I wish it didn't, but that's the way they clean it out. Now, I also understand they're assembling 2 new, I got to read this, water modernization fire hydrants on 42nd. Don't know what that means exactly, but they do, and that's all that matters. So in the meantime, they're also doing that spray patching of potholes. If you have a pothole in front of your house and they haven't fixed it yet, I would suggest that you call Public Works and tell them about it, because either they missed it or they never even saw it. So they need to know. One of the other things they've been doing is removing graffiti from the Performance Center. I need to tell people that every time we have to do that, that's really expensive. So if you see somebody with a can of paint putting graffiti on one of either our playgrounds or our Performance Center, that's really ruining it for everybody, and it's expensive to remove. So it's as simple as dialing 911. The cop will be out there, and we'll put a stop to that. And if we can catch the people that are doing it, we either find them or make them remove it. And then the last thing, the Citizens Advisory Commission, which is one of our commissions, will be planting those planters on 42nd this week.
Right.
So the plants now are all sitting at City Hall waiting to be picked up. They'll be picked up tonight, and then they'll go off and plant them sometime next week. I did have a little chat with staff about watering the plants. Somehow that fell through the cracks, and I'm not sure who was supposed to water, but we know who's supposed to water now, and they will get watered.
Sounds good. All right. Other projects happening within Public Works. We've been talking about Meadow Lake for quite some time, and we've got some pictures here of this unique boat that was floating around the lake for a very good purpose, Mayor. What was it up to?
Well, this thing, it's a pontoon with a big tank on it, and it just, that lake's not very deep, and it just kind of putted around the lake, and they're spraying alum to kill some of the bacteria that's on the lake. As you know, those lakes, when it gets warm, gets really green. And they're also putting in some treatment for the curly pondweed. And then Shingle Creek Watershed will go in and they'll monitor that water over the summer and see if we're actually making progress to get rid of that. It's, you know, it's like grass growing on your lawn, but it's growing in the pond and it looks icky. So they're trying to get rid of that.
All right, we'll keep telling you how that moves along. A couple parks received some maintenance work related to their rain gardens. Again, tell us where these rain gardens are and what work is done.
Well, that's at Holiday Park and Northwood Park. And so they've got a staff of people that went in and they clean out the drain to start with. And then they remove all the dead matter that's there on the paper and the leaves and things like that. And then Stantec, which is our engineering firm, has a volunteer day. And they're going to come in and they're going to plant 600 plants in our rain gardens. And they just do that as their day of volunteering. And we really thank them for that.
That is fantastic. All right, let's move ahead to Park and Rec. As we mentioned, a lot happening in spring. And here's a list of some of those. This first activity happened inside for some of the older adults in the area. And I understand the turnout was great.
It was. So this is Don't It Make You Wonder. And they were doing a little thing of whatever happened to Amelia Earhart. So I had a guy come in and talk about that for an hour and 15 minutes. And there was really a big turnout. It's at the Crystal Community Center. There were over 65 people there. This is the biggest Don't It Make You Wonder program that we've had ever. So we were really excited to do that. And it's, you know, it's a couple bucks to get coffee and a donut and listen to a nice lecture for an hour.
That is a fun opportunity. We'll keep you up to date on other ones coming up. Watch our calendar at the end that has some of those dates included. Here's some fun pictures as well of some very young dancers. Where were they dancing recently?
Well, Cooper High School is where they go. And this is our New Hope dance program. There's a lot of kids in this program. And so I went to the performance. It's fun to watch, especially I've been going so many years that I remember some of these kids when they were 3. And now they're 18 and they're graduating from the program. What happens is a lot of the kids that are 18 graduate from the program and they come back as instructors or helpers. But these kids are just adorable. It's just a fun thing. It's amazing to watch how they can put that on with that many kids, but they do, and it's fun.
It is a great event. All right, let's talk about something that happens in Park and Rec that you may not be aware of, but they're also keeping an eye on weeds throughout the city. And this weed inspection process is underway now. How does this work, Mayor?
Well, first of all, I have to tell people by ordinance, I am the weed inspector.
Okay.
However, I have an assistant weed inspector. And they're out looking at weeds at problematic lawns. Now, if you noticed, we did not make a formal no mow May. We just told people if they weren't going to mow in May, if they choose not to do that, they needed to let us know so we don't just think they forgot or they're noxious weeds. But boy, I'll be glad when this is over because now the dandelions have all gone to seed and they're just blowing all over in everybody else's lawn. So it'll be good when they get that taken care of. But they are looking at the weeds in people's lawns that really shouldn't be there.
Final note under Park and Rec is a recent dedication at Northwood Park softball fields. Give us a little bit of that backstory of a neat event.
Well, we had an employee, his name was Art Field, and Art died about a year ago. And we're going to dedicate our softball fields at Northwood Park to him. He spent a lot of time working with the seasonal help that we get, organizing them. A lot of time was spent at that park. And so we're dedicating those fields to him. So they met with the staff, or they met with the family last week. just to iron out the details of that.
Okay, let's talk about some of the popular recreation facilities around the city, just to give you an update on some of the activity. The first is the golf course, which we see in the picture right behind you. How are things going at the golf course?
First of all, I got to explain about that picture.
Okay.
I'm having a hard time getting the green picture on. I'm going to get some help with that tonight. So maybe next week we'll actually see the green back there.
All right.
But the one I was able to get on, that's the fall picture. Don't be scared. It's not fall. I just couldn't figure out how to change the picture.
Got it.
But,
Understand.
so we have a lot of tea times that are open. Of course, there's leagues that play in the mornings and the evenings, but there are tea times open. So call and make a tea time if you're interested in playing. And they're busily getting the flower beds ready, and they'll be doing some stump grinding pretty soon. So you'll hear a little noise out there maybe of them trying to remove the stumps from those 86 trees we had to remove from the golf course.
Never a dull moment at the golf course. All right. Speaking of no dull moments, how about over at the ice arena? Even though it's warming up, they're still very busy there. What's happening inside?
Well, there's 8 men's teams that play there, but they're playing on the north rink because remember that they put concrete down in the south rink. Well, that concrete is cured, and now they're going to put up the glass and the boards, the dasher boards around that. And once that's on, they'll start putting water out, and they'll start making ice on the rink. So that rink should be open in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, they've painted everything that could be painted on that south rink. They thought this was just a good time to get all that maintenance done and all that cleaning done. So when it opens, it'll smell and look like a brand new rink.
Nice and shiny. All right. Speaking of shiny, the aquatic park is looking shiny as it prepares for the season. What is happening as the countdown is really on for swimming in New Hope?
Well, of course, we have to train all of our seasonal workers, and that went on last week, so they're getting on board. The pool will open on the 3rd and 4th of June, and then it'll close till the 8th of June, and then it'll be open till the end of the season. So what they're doing now, they got the pool, the 50-meter pool all cleaned out, and they're starting to put water back in that. And then once the water gets in, they'll start putting the chemicals in and just keep testing it. Just a reminder to people, if you're going to buy a season pass, do it before the 2nd of June. It's $65 for a season pass, which is really quite reasonable. If you do it after the 2nd of June, it goes up to $75. Now, these passes are good for all residents of New Hope, Crystal, and Golden Valley, because we have a reciprocity agreement with them. We use their facilities and they use ours. So if you're a non-resident, not of those 3 cities, your early season pass is $85, and then after June 2nd, it goes up to $95.
All right, good. So get out there and get ready to use that pool. A couple human resources updates from the city of New Hope as we keep you up to date on what's happening. The first is office specialist position in community development. Tell us about the number of people that are interested in that post.
Well, whenever you post a job in a city, you have to post it internally first. And if you get more than 2 candidates for it, then that's you interview them and see if you can pick one of them. On this particular one, we did not get any internal candidates, so they posted it externally, and we got 34 applications. They narrowed that down to 12, and they will interview them this week now.
One other opening that's in the city that the city is in process of filling is in the police department with the police officer position. How is that going?
Same thing. We went internal, didn't get any internal people, so we went external. We actually got 2 applicants, and they will be interviewed tonight, Monday night, and then we will pick one of those as our new police officer.
All right. Final note here is that you mentioned the pool staff going through some seasonal training, but I guess there's others in public works that have to do the same process, correct?
We do. Well, they're an employee, so you've got to do all that paperwork stuff, and then they get a little orientation about where they're going to work. So Public Works has a huge staff of folks. So does the Park and Rec department, and so all those new employees, those seasonal employees, have to have an orientation, and that's been happening last week, and it'll finish up this week now.
All right. In our last couple minutes, let's preview some bigger events that are coming up in the not too distant future. The first is National Night Out. What is the date, and remind us what that event is?
It's the first Tuesday in August, and this year it's August 1st. And if you remember what that is, pretty much you have a neighborhood party. It's just to get neighbors together, and you can go online now and register for that. When you do that, if you would like someone to come visit your party, like a police officer or the mayor or the console or public works guy, you can register for that and ask them to come out. If you register before, I believe, the middle of July, you're pretty much guaranteed you'll get a party pack.
Okay.
So get busy and register. They're not asking to be quite so strict about blocking off the street this year. You'll be able to block off the street, but you used to have to get every single resident to sign off on that. And I think they're going to try to ease that a little bit, because sometimes it's hard to get that.
Makes sense. All right. Again, that's coming up the first Tuesday in August. Get prepared for that. Another event that is coming up, a special anniversary for West Metro. What are they celebrating?
So West Metro Fire and Rescue District, that's the fire department of Crystal and New Hope, and they combined 25 years ago. So that's what they're celebrating. They're going to do that on July 6th at Station 3. That's the station that's in New Hope, and it's going to be 5 to 8. They'll have hot dogs, and of course the firefighters will all be there. They'll have some things for the kids to do. So it's just a fun thing for the kids to come. They can crawl all over the fire trucks and look at them and hold the hoses and have fun with that. The other fun thing that's happening is Food Truck Friday.
Right.
That'll start on the 2nd of June. It's hard to be talking about June already, my goodness. And Food Truck Friday, they'll have the food trucks at the city offices in the parking lot. There's usually 3 to 5 of them, and there'll be 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock. You just go up to a food truck, get your lunch, go to the picnic table in the pavilion, and have a nice picnic outside.
Sounds like a great way to have your lunch in the summer in the city of New Hope. So as you see, a lot going on in the city and much more to be found on the city's website. Go to newhopemn.gov to find out more and stick with us. We've got our calendar of events coming up of some other things that are happening in the city. Mayor Hemken, thanks once again for your time. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week after the holiday.
Thanks, Dave. See you then.
Learn more about the connection at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.